stars until it's written in. The constellations call me feeling dangerous, risk the odds, I'll face the consequences. Life written, till you lose it all, don't give in. When I'm up like heroin, got you falling in my skin. Take a chance, this is it. Oh, na, na. This I can love. No, no, girl, till we hit the floor.
After a tight and twisty round at Laguna Seca, it's time to go a little bit flat out around Iowa Speedway. Round 2 of the VOR Indy NXT Series, round 2 of 3 with another double header race here, so make it races 3 and 4. Takes us to a speedway that is usually a little small for the full Indy cars, but becomes almost its own super speedway in these. Welcome along, Howie Burroughs as ever with Julian Altena in production alongside. We're racing 2 quick races here around the high banks of Iowa, where these cars can take a lot of it flat out and race all sorts of different lines up and down the track once the race has gotten going and the tyres have finally started to warm up. Got a slightly larger grid than last time around, and certainly more than enough to make a race around here fun and exciting. Drivers midway through their qualifying runs right now, so still some major drivers from the IndyCar VOR series yet to set their times down on the board. They're quick ones, 18-second laps around the block, and it's going to be some quick races too. 47 laps across both of our races today, with an invert of the top portion of our grid. And if we wreck too much, there's a 25-minute time limit on each one too. So maybe that can encourage drivers to keep a little bit disciplined on the track. This is the last of our doubleheader rounds before we rock into our finale at Indianapolis. But it's nice to have a little bit of variety on the schedule, and these cars are plenty of fun around here. Worth shouting out as ever that the broadcast of Indy NXT Series are brought to you by iCoaching. You can get instant and unlimited access to the entire iCoaching setup vault with the iCoaching All Access Pass. Down a professionally built iRacing setups for IndyCar, Next and TCR cars across the official calendar. Visit iCoaching.co, that's iCoaching.co for more information. I do believe Julian wanted to take a little look at the championship standings and perhaps the upcoming race before we move on. We've only had 2 races down on the line, but Adam Williams was able to get a first and a second at Laguna Seca, locking him in some excellent points. Kyle Alderson with an excellent race as well. And Aidan Kale close in line. It's a very different kind of race here. And some of these drivers, though, from last week, they're not here today. Adam Williams is back on the front, but you're noticing a few others from the top of that championship missing. Anything can really happen around here, though, at Iowa. As small and tight as it is, these cars can often take it flat out and at high speed. Just 20 seconds to go in qualifying. I don't even think anyone's running their laps around. So we've got some wonderful B-roll of tractors off to rescue cars that will not need rescuing out here today. Running on the updated version, of course, and running around the updated layout, of course, with the new repaved tarmac on the bottom. More races further down the line. The VOR channel worth watching. We have the International IndyCar Series at Talladega. Talk about flat out, and then the Indianapolis Oval VOR Indy next finale. That'll be a single race. It's the Freedom 100. Then we have the iRacing Indy NXT Series at Indianapolis Road, the International IndyCar Series at Phoenix, and then the iRacing Indy NXT Series at Detroit. Bring them back to the street circuits. Looks like we have a starting grid locked and loaded and ready to go. Should only be around 15 minutes if we stay green in both races, and we have a little bit of run over in case you wreck a few more times. It's Adam Williams on pole next to John Stellard in P2. Indy Kirkenbauer is in third next to Armand Lal in fourth, and Liam O'Sullivan lines up fifth next to David Clennon in sixth. Alexander Weitzel lines up next to Kaya Are Elderson in eighth. Matthias Esquel, Marco Mimi is in ninth next to Sebastian Kinder, and three more drivers have got Toby Deck, Katie Polak, and John Christiansen at the very back. Someone else would call that 44 Nation. I have to keep that claim rising. So first of two races on the track today. You're going to have two pace laps, as it's a short track in iRacing, so still just a little bit of time to get ourselves suited. Now, I remember racing this on the first week the Indy NXT Series launched on the iRacing service, and the first couple laps were tricky. If you overcooked it, just drove it a little bit too hard, that car would get loose out under you or plow out into a wall. But the moment tyres get up to temperature, you can push very, very hard here. These cars pretty low powered, of course, so you're able to run around the track pretty much maximum speed with all sorts of viable lines. Nice and temperate as well at Iowa. It's a reasonable 24 on 24 degrees. 43 on the track's a little bit toastier, but we have not set it to the boiling hot California sun. Now, I heard news, by the way, earlier today at the passing of Alex Zanardi, worth shouting out. Very successful champ car driver, of course, and after his serious injuries, a incredible sign of determination in sporting, and one that really all should look up to in the space. Unfortunate news earlier today, but you know, I'm sure he'll be very, very well remembered among the IndyCar community. Still getting our pace laps rocking and rolling. I believe there's going to be one to green when they cross the line. Drivers trying to heat up their tyres, and it's very, very important that they get that locked in, because it's very easy to just cook it a bit too hard in the first laps. But at the same time, those first few laps are really where you're going to get a lot of time sorted out on this track and get past people very quickly. 47 laps is going to fly by like nobody's business. As a reminder, this race should last less than 25 minutes, but we do have full course yellows in case there's a wreck, and there's a 25-minute time limit on both of our sessions today, so we won't be overrunning by a million miles. Let's hope we don't get back-to-back cautions, so that's not fun. What we're really here for is some high-speed, high-octane, high-banked racing in these cars. I've never really gotten a grip of this track in the full-on IndyCar. I've never really been able to work out. It'll be fast and very, very high-powered, and the place feels quite small, but where else but effectively a super speedway for these cars? Pace car pulls in, the green flag is out, and it's a real scatter four wide straight away. It's a very, very slow start from some of our high-ranking drivers. That's John Stellar dropping back by a lot on the road. Adam Williams able to stay out in first. It's Indy Kirkenbauer behind, and Martin Lowell making it third before we go side-by-side positions further back in the road, like on the high line, looking out for John Stellard in the white, orange and green car. Lots of black cars that look exactly the same on the grid. We're already dicing and moving up for our top three, though. Outside looking relatively fast. Indy Kirkenbauer gets a good run on the higher side of the dark tarmac, and we have a wreck in the back. John Christiansen and Katie Polak around. Although actually a third driver really was the start of that, I think further down the line. So John Christian and Katie Polak are the two cars that wreck on the track, but Marco Mimi is slow in the outside wall, and that causes Polak to react, jump down to the inside and lose grip. If we get on board a Katie Polak through the wreck, you might end up seeing quite how that one happens. That is Marco Mimi up in the wall, and that's a reaction to the slow car, and Christensen's just on the bottom. Two cars down and out. Two race session, of course, here today. We invert the top 10, so 3 drivers are going uninverted today on the starting grid as we begin our first pace laps of the day. Polak technically isn't meatballed here, but Christensen is. He's out for this race. I don't know if Polak's going to be able to return to the track in time. She's already going to lose 1 lap here, just recovering and towing, so don't know if she'll quite return to the track. On board with Kirkenbauer, who made a nice move up just before the yellow, probably about a lap before the yellow, to the high side of the dark new repaved portion of the track. The cars are small enough that there's a lot of space to run side by side alongside other cars on the circuit, and that includes on this section, which usually only fits about 1 IR18 you wouldn't try and get to. You can definitely battle people side by side through here, and I've noticed there's momentum on that middle line already that's allowing for a little bit of a slingshot. Still 2 to go on the pace car. It's really nice having to pass time under caution all by yourself. I mean, I woke up quite late here today, so you know my Saturday's been less exciting than the last time around. This is the sort of stuff you come here for, people. This is the sort of deep insight and deep analysis. And I totally missed something important in my ear that I could have made out myself. Well, that's okay. I'll keep myself sane for now. And Julian, I appreciate everything, but my ears aren't working here today. So maybe I need poking in another way to get anything done here today. Well, 1 to green, down the back straight, pace car, going to pull off in just a couple turns time, and we're going to get this thing going again. Single file, obviously going to be a slightly slower restart this time around. It was a real scatter there as our P2 starter, John Stellar, just did not get the launch off the line he wanted, and drivers had to dart every single direction to get out of his way. No wrecks off the start of that. Now we're ready to... No, we're not 1 to green. We are doing lots of pace laps here today. So many pace laps. It'll be 1 to green this time, and you can tell because the pace car actually moves its direction up here on the track. Interesting to see where this line's going to form, because it should be single file, and I can tell you I've got an instinct right now that we're not quite there. Indy Kirkenbauer might just want to take that top line exiting turn 4, where there's a lot of momentum, or cover down below. Usually you want to be defend up high in the single file restarts just due to the iRacing rules. Although I do not know if they get waived as they usually do in VOR series around here. I know that the VOR standard is to pass on the start on the green flag and pass anywhere you want. There is certainly an iRacing driver's instinct though to protect the top, where iRacing usually penalises you for passing on the outside. We're going to hold the top line anyway. Lots of momentum to go. Pace car actually pulling in right now. It's not a false alarm.
Green flag, green flag.
And away we go. Adam Williams a little bit faster off the jump, but not significantly. Alexander Weitzel drops lower. Still all the positions staying roughly as they are. Bit of movement in the back of the field, but further up front, there's a lot of black cars to look out for, one after another, and we already have a damaged car actually on the track. That's Marco Mimi again. He's taken serious damage, and I'm sure later down the line we'll be able to work out what happened, but right now the battle remains close. So let's try and play black car watch here, because it's Adam Williams up ahead, then Aman Lowell's the purple one in the middle. He makes it easy. But then we have Alexander Weitzel and Liam O'Sullivan 2 rows further back, all designed to look exactly the same way. And I know I extolled the virtues. That's Liam O'Sullivan, makes a nice move to the inside, but he can't quite complete it. Dips a little bit too low, no momentum against the white line on the track. Weitzel stays out ahead. And Indy Kirkenbauer's running away, really running away right now. Almost a second gap on the track. Started up third, but an excellent start from the drop of the green has pretty much gone him exactly where he wants to be right now. Further back, still Liam O'Sullivan on the chase. All sorts of different lines you can use around here. You're going to get more momentum up high on the track, but with the repaving all the way up high is rarely the place to be. If you want to get a pass done, where you defend can be very, very important. As well as where you make your attack, but you've got to wear someone down over quite a few laps. Quite hard to really corner bomb someone out of this. I do see O'Sullivan with momentum. Now he goes to the bottom side of the track. His opponent almost half a lane out of the dark. Repaved tarmac still remains ahead. Weitzel's holding on quite well right now. Still, O'Sullivan, no pace, no momentum. Drops back. Going to keep an eye on Stellard as well, just in case he chooses to make himself a part of this. Now 1.5 seconds for Kirkenbauer. Here's Stellard's car further back. Gotta say, on a grid that looks all like this, I do like the car colours that do choose to stand out on the road, and this is certainly one of them. Obviously, if you tuned in last week and you're just unaware, there's no push to pass on these ovals, so you solely have to use the momentum. There's also no hybrid like there is in a traditional IR18, so you would just have your tyres on the track really, and the quite low powered engine in these things. Drivers are lifting just a little. The throttle trace sort of shows that you're lifting totally out, even if you lift a tiny bit out, but there is a little bit of braking through these turns. Guess you don't want to wear out and destroy those tyres. Should only be a single run race, but still, a difference in tyre delta is about as important as having them well used in the first place. So we've had quite the drop back from O'Sullivan. He's lost momentum, and now Stellar's really the one that's under attack. Keeping an eye up ahead as to whether Weitzel's going to take down Lowell, but not right now. That gap's a little bit too big for that move to really happen. So the action is still happening here. Very wide exit out the turn for O'Sullivan is going to get Stellard to the inside and cut down on Stellard's going to force him to back out of it. Going to recreate the gap again. .47 laps in total means we're approaching halfway, but we're not quite there yet. That 19 out of 47 that gets crossed on the line, and now gaps are starting to pretty much equalize out on the track. Curious if we can work out what happened to Marco Mimi at some point, but gonna have to try and find that in this mixture of events that's been kicking off. There are lap cars sort of on the way. David Clennin is the slowest driver still on the... Actually, no, Marco Mimi is on the track, having repaired his front wing 2 laps down. So he's been getting a lap around the track. Maybe able to replay that. I actually wasn't able to find it in the events. So let's just assume it's right near the start. And we'll run a few laps and find out what happened. Not like the laps take too long around here. Quite the run here from Marco Mimi behind. Wonder if there's just a check up ahead. Oh, Clennin into the wall. His rear wing's forgiven, but Marco Mimi's isn't. There isn't actually any room for him to get out of the way, so that is unfortunate. That because we only invert the top 10, this bottom 3 that have gotten wrecked out of this first race won't get a jump back up to the top. It's everybody that's still running that gets the invert for race 2. Here's Toby Deck on Sebastian Kinder. Very slow exit for Kinder's going to give Deck a good run up the inside line. Still not clear, just about clear. Just in time. I don't think Kinder's done though. He has the opportunity to make the run up the inside now. Deck's up high, it's not very fast there. Dips down onto the repave. David Clennin's in this battle as well. Alexander Weitzel able to make a tiny bit of time out of Lowell, but still not a battle that's quite evolved at quite this moment. Really the battle further back on the track. Marco Mimi 2 laps down, but fast and trying to make laps back on the outside line. Glennon gets a little stuck behind Kinder, just behind. Markamimi washes very wide, so he's no longer a part of this. Glennon now going to try again. You do get a bit of draft in these cars around here. It's not going to be a significant slingshot like we might be seeing at Indy later down the line, but you are going to get a small advantage from running behind another car. Straight just doesn't really last long enough for you to make the pass on the back of that. Compensates a bit for dirty air though, which will be a factor. Weitzel's getting closer to Lal, but getting closer, getting the pass done seem to be two different subjects on the track entirely. Meanwhile, Indy Kirkenbauer, after an excellent start to the race, is pretty much just running away with this one. Will be sent back to P10 on the start of the next race. A little bit of a wall tap though, might take another look at that one. How bad? I don't think that will do lasting damage to the car. Over a 2-second gap, maybe you can afford 1 or 2 of those. Don't want to play flirtatious on the edge though, I'll put it like that. Some drivers catching up to others, but the pass is still difficult to make. It's Stellard on O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan was challenging for 4th earlier today. Now he's just stuck in his little bubble in 5th. Have about 16 laps to go, which sounds like a lot, but isn't very much. It's only about 5 minutes around here. We'll be getting this one done in regulation time as well. Glennon still trying to look at Kinder. And Markamimi is just hanging in behind the two. There's nothing really to gain from sending something too stupid here. But unfortunately, he's 2 laps down and out of eligibility for an invert here. $15 to go for Kirkenbauer, who we can definitely just admire as a lap runner all day long. Been a relatively unexciting one after that start, but sometimes that's what you need. Curious to see whether any of these battles are going to really evolve though. Alexander Weitzel seems to keep sort of inching closer. Bit after bit after bit inching, but it's that last pass part that is the hardest. Sure has been a single file run. You have to gain momentum over multiple laps to really get a good run on someone. Tyre wear is going to become a minor factor. I mean, this isn't a sort of race distance where you're expected to make a pit stop. But at the same time, if you've used it just a bit too much, you're just not going to be able to mount a pass on someone now at this point. So that's the conflict you have to play in your head just a little. Weitzel on the back of Lal, just still trying to get closer than 2 tenths. 2 tenths feels like the bubble. Every time you get that just that bit closer, you end up losing it back in the turn. Very difficult to make that inroad, but putting on pressure and forcing a mistake is another option, of course. 9 to go for our leader. On board with Kinder, behind deck. Has a good run here. Has to back out of it though, because it's just not a spectacular enough run to make a catapult past. On my end, I can hear the bumps of this car on the bottom. They do not like the bumpiness of this track, even on the newly repaved sections. Here comes Kinder to the bottom now. Finally gotten that good run. It's not quite enough. Once you get a wheel inside, there's a chance. Not quite. Evens out for now. Further up ahead, Liam O'Sullivan on Weitzel now. Finally open that cookie jar just a bit. Running that top side. Finally able to clear for P4. There's a tiny chance he gets low, but he has about a minute and a half to do it, so good luck. Washing up a bit through these turns, you can tell the tyre wear is starting to compound on these cars. Kinder looking for one more shot on deck. It's got to be the most frustrating window to sit in. Just thinking you can do this, but you can't at the same time. They get 3 laps to go. I think it's more likely that O'Sullivan gets low, and even then that's no guarantee. They're two drivers that know each other very well. No, Kinder is gaining, good exit. But has to back out because he's tried to dive to the inside and Dex run a very defensive line. Indy Kirkenbauer is about to finish his final lap, and you know, maybe the time does fly when you're in the car. Take an easy win, send them back to P10 for the next race. With that, I think all our positions are pretty much sorted out in tow, so we can get our results pretty swiftly because we don't even get a warm-up to the next session. Indy Kirkenbauer leads over Adam Williams, Aman Lal, Liam O'Sullivan, Alexander Weitzel, John Stellard, Kaya Ari Elderson, Toby Deck. Let me actually get this from the official results because he's apparently seemed to be jumping around now all over the place. It's Elderson, Kinder, Deck, Clennon, Markamimi, Polak and Christensen. Last 3 not finishing. We reverse the top 10. We do it again, as they like to say. So we won't be able to get the full grid view pop up, but I'll be able to just round out your starting grid. Pretty much that top 10 in reverse. David Clennon starts on pole, and Toby Deck and Sebastian Kinder. Then it's Kaya Ari Elderson, John Stellard, Alexander Weitzel, Liam O'Sullivan, Adam Manlal, Adam Williams, Indy Kirkenbauer, Matthias Esquire, Markamimi, Katie Polak, and John Christensen. David Clennon, by the way, shouting out, apologies for that start. My PC flashed a loading screen for half a second. Sounds like the good old Windows Classic to me. You know, I feel like it knows what you're doing and it's trying to find a good time just to, you know, let you know these things. Track cooled by a degree Celsius. Not overwhelmingly significant on the road. As your reminder, though, this series is brought to you along with all of the other Indy NXT Series on the channel. Is brought to you by iCoaching. You get instant and unlimited access to the entire iCoaching vault with the All Access Pass. Get professionally built iRacing setups for IndyCar, Next, and TCR cars across the official calendars. Visit iCoaching.co. That's iCoaching.co to find out more. One more race, same length, same conditions. But this mixed up grid is going to cause a lot of conflict, I think, on the race start, and it could lead to some interesting battles. Going to be 2 to green, though, on the circuit as ever. I think every driver from the last race has shown up, so we don't have anyone that just dropped between the sessions. Well, shouting out, of course, the VOR Indy NXT Series will be back one more time next week for the Freedom 100 at Indianapolis. It's a single race, and Certainly a whole lot smaller than a 500, but it is the classic build-up event to the real one. And the real iRacing Indy 500 is creeping up on us real bad. I all of a sudden just realised it had caught up to us. I won last year, so there's no pressure at all on my shoulders. If I wreck twice, I wreck twice. That's what might have to be my answer. You can only do your life dream every once in a while, but it really has caught up. They call it the month of May, don't they? For a good reason. Pace car's in. That one felt like it went faster than last time. Away we go. Fanning out. Some into the wall. That's Alexander Whitesell into the wall. Bit too far, bit too much. David Clennon's able to take the P1 from Toby Deck. I'm watching Alon on the outside. Doesn't quite get the momentum he wants. Kinder settles out in third. Toby Deck wants to jump to the bottom to try and challenge for this early lead. Will they be able to keep this for long? Will the faster drivers really creep up? No overwhelming winners. Indy Kirkenbauer able to jump forward. That's Aman Low in the wall in the back. Make it 2 in the wall to begin this race. Up near the front, still side by side. Don't think either driver took serious damage, but Whitesell is seriously off the pace now. Low might be able to catch. Whitesell's hit was a lot harder as well. Sebastian Kinder making himself a part of this top 3 battle as well. Then all over the field there's a lot happening. Here's on board with Adam Williams. Not quite able to get past the inside of Katie Perlak, is doing better than the last time around. There's Toby Deck up in the lead. Big check up there. Clennon slow. Kinder has to jump to the bottom. Gonna try and bring Kirkenbauer with him as well. Want to try and make it 2 for 2. Kirkenbauer's fast and moving quick. Here's Liam O'Sullivan. Just about able to get to the top. That's a tiny gap. Took a lot of bravery to expect not to get taken out there. Up front, it's a real fan. That's O'Sullivan trying from the behind in the black car to dive into the battle. Kinder up on the top. Deck still holding up the field, but it does feel a little bit like a cork in a bottle here. I also noticed Mark Amimi in trouble. He's just slow. I think he might have had some glancing contact off Liam O'Sullivan just a couple laps ago. His car's okay, but it's slowed him down significantly. And he has a chat bind to complain about it. So, you know, just the important things here in iRacing. Getting awfully close to contact further back in the field. Meanwhile, it's a real chase up front. Kirkenbauer's been able to just slide into the lead and run away with it. Toby Deck really is the cork, I think, and it's going to be a game of drivers trying to get past him in race distance. Kinder and O'Sullivan side by side. Kinder up top. Has a bit more momentum high side. Kinder very fast on the high side. Seems to be where there's momentum. O'Sullivan's able to drop in right behind. Clennon maybe 2. Deck sort of held out on the bottom side. Hasn't been able to get himself clear in any real way. Deck really checks up bad. O'Sullivan's all right, but that's going to give Kinder a nice gap up ahead. The longer we go without a caution, the more this double file racing I think we're going to get around here, and it's exciting. O'Sullivan mindful of Deck on the top. A little bit of contact wheel to wheel. They're okay, but that was dangerous. That top line certainly a lot faster though. O'Sullivan able to get ahead. Still not clear yet. Clennon following in line. Now O'Sullivan clears out in front. Going to claim that bottom and wants to chase down Kinder. Dive to the bottom for Clennon. Sort of a block on Stellard. Quite likely unintentional. Contact sends Deck up a whole lane on the track. And multiple positions all the way down to 8th. Lowell's now up to 7th for the record. Could be making up more. Take one more look at that. I do wonder if there's, from that angle, it looks a little bit like Deck is sort of doing it to himself going down a lane. Others might be able to analyse this one a little bit more later. Is it from above? I have to zoom in with my binoculars for this one. It's a little bit of not enough space on the inside to me. He makes away with it. So that hasn't been gotten away with though. Kaya Arielderson in the wall, damaged. That will make our caution. He's bounced off John Christensen to cause that incident. It's going to be hard to read or judge from any angle, I think. Might have to leave it to the haulers after the race. One of those risks of side-by-side racing around here. That is a trashed car for Alderson. Last place on the road. And no real chance for redemption there. We're going to reset this field. Into the pit lane, actually. Drivers are actually deciding they're going to want some new tyres. Maybe they worked out something from last race. They thought that the tyre wear was actually affecting their pace, and if the leader chooses to make the move, everyone else might as well profit from it. Every driver in. I expect they'll all go up on the jack. They didn't have any fuel problems last time, so that can't be it. This is one of those tracks where the pit box rule is actually extremely valid. I have taken liberties before sometimes in officials, let me tell you that. Amon Lal just runs through the pit lane, though, doesn't stop in a box and comes out in the lead. We'll find out whether Aman meant to do that or will sheepishly come down the pit lane again in a minute. Bastian Kinder's actually the first out. I don't actually think that was a difference in strategy either. I just think that was box skill. But he did save over a second. I'm going back to see whether he even went up on the jacks. Yeah, so Kinder does go up on the jacks, takes all 4 tyres. But I guess you just had box discipline. Or maybe ran through a few. Who really knows? I'm not playing catch-up steward on that today, actually. What we know is that Kinder's now ahead of Kirkenbauer out of pit lane after spending a second faster in the box. Amanlal doesn't sheepishly go down into his box. Now, I will have to ask, if he wins, I mean, I have to ask again, regardless at another point in time, whether what his thought about going down the lane without stopping was. Whether maybe he was trying to trick people, maybe whether he changed his mind at the last second. He's going to have more worn tyres, but he's now made the decision that, hey, he can hold off these drivers on these more worn tyres and that'll be okay. We can definitely make it to the regulation 25 minutes on 1 caution. I think we'd struggle 2 on 2. That might be when the session starts running out of time. That time in the corner must be estimated race distance. Yes, it is, because the lobby has 16 minutes to go and it's an estimated 9 running when we go green. Every driver up to the top for our restart. Second caution restart of the day.
Green flag.
Away we go. A horrible, horrible start further back in the field. It's going to let Williams jump. Going to let almost everybody jump. That was Stallard, just got no momentum off the line. Bit of cloud cover now, starting to approach the track. It may be cooling down in the air. We'll keep our eyes on the track though. Deck up against the wall further back sort of pushes some more drivers down the track. Further up front, Kinder's sort of the one challenging the rest. O'Sullivan and Adam Williams. Drops back for now. Monlal's got a good gap, but we'll see how Kirkenbauer eats into it. Remember, Lal did not change tyres in the last pit stop. And currently, Lal is still faster out there on the track by 3/10. Maybe the end of the run will be a difference maker, or maybe Aman Lal just realised you don't need to do that. O'Sullivan in third. Gonna chase down Kirkenbauer. His tyres do get faster after a couple of laps though, so already Kirkenbauer's done a lap that's marginally faster than Lal, although by effectively nothing. Currently there's no tyre delta really, other than a 10th in it, but that's going to now start getting worse for Lal, I think. Bit by bit by bit. Liam O'Sullivan lines up in third, just behind. He's further back on the road. Trying to keep my eyes on who's who. It was John Stellard in the Force India looking paint, the 711. Here's Mark Amimi on board. To the high side. Had struggles in both races here really today. David Clennon on the bottom. I think up front, Kirkenbauer's just made that move for the lead effortlessly. I think now that's the tyre differential now. I mean, it still actually seems to be only about a 10th, but if you're 3/10 back, that's 3 laps, and now the pass is virtually effortless. Now O'Sullivan's going to see if he can play the same game. There are 2/10 in it last lap. Adam Williams chases down O'Sullivan further down too, whereas near the back, one other black car we really have in our field is mired. I'm on the likes of Kinder. I have a couple slightly different paints on my side, which sometimes throws me off, and sometimes I get used to the difference. Katie Polak leads in that Braun GP painted car, then it's John Christensen, Toby Deck just behind. Both taking different lines. Katie, she's going to run up higher. Christian going to run a little bit lower. Choosing different lines, staying out of each other's air. Look at that gap on the side, by the way, for Kirkenbauer. I need to talk about the fastest driver on the road today, I feel like no matter where you put Kirkenbauer will find a way up into the lead of the race and take a double win. Bit of a wobble there from Polak. That is going to open up badly here for Christensen, but that dive to the inside doesn't really afford much momentum. Do think Liam O'Sullivan is doing a move on Aman Lal anytime soon now. Been sort of backing up and these tyres have been getting slower and slower. But this pass seems less effortless. Because once you're in that window just behind, it's tricky, and Adam Williams is... How do we explain? Adam Williams is the one with more red decals on his car on the inside. O'Sullivan is the one up top with a bit more white on the car. That might help the example being given. They're going to battle side by side. Lal's just going to sort of take every last bit of this he can, I think. Toby Deck, by the way, just took a meatball flag. We stay green, but Toby Deck just seriously wrecked it. Going to replay that when we have a minute, as this battle still rages on, but we managed to stay green due to the way he ricocheted down the track, but that was a nasty, nasty collision. Still, Aman Lal backing up Adam Williams, Liam O'Sullivan. They're going to have to settle out who makes this pass and when, because they're just slowing each other down right now. There's not that many laps to go here. Into the wall goes Amon Lowe. That's going to be a big checkup on the outside. Alan Williams going to take that for free. O'Sullivan still not really in it. He was on that upper line that had to slow down a bit for him. Kirkenbauer now 2 seconds down. We just saw Liam get that pass done pretty easily in time. Amon Lowe is slipping, but if he holds on to 4th, I think from 8th to 4th will have been a good strategy play. So here's Toby Deck. Quite the wipeout here. Big checkups up here on the top and bumps into Katie Polak and right into the wall. Spins down the track, but because no one else is passing, that's going to stay green. Makes 2 drivers DNF'd out of here. Kirkenbauer from 10th to 1st. If we ever needed any doubt that Kirkenbauer was the fastest driver here on the track. In both races. It has been a climb. It certainly has been. It'll be 7 to go when Kirkenbauer next crosses the line, and it's been nice and easy. John Christensen still in the chase. Sebastian Kinder further ahead. Back into that single file late race groove of can you force them into one mistake? Because it's hard to get a run out of that 2/10 window. Gaining a bit though, gained a bit last lap, gained a bit this turn. Getting closer and closer to having a wheel alongside. Every turn he's closer. Still not quite there, John Christensen. This is the hardest window to really make this pass in. That getting that close might cause a check-up that will slow him down out of line. Only a couple laps to go. Christensen still struggling to get the pass done. That's our closest battle on the track though. This is for P7. Only a few places moved up in a slightly more chaotic race, I would say. 2 to go though for Kirkenbauer. Make it the final lap. There is a data delay on these things, I feel it. Easy 2-race domination. Well, I think we have found our king of Iowa here today. Indy Kirkenbauer takes it effortlessly over the line. Adam Williams finishes 2nd and Liam O'Sullivan does round it up in 3rd. John Christensen not able to pass Kinder over the line. Tricky track to get around for some of these drivers today. And Indy Kirkenbauer was able to best it. You do deserve some burnouts once you've won 2 in a row. It'll be our last double-header session on the championship. Only 1 more week to go, but we'll be having a longer race at Indy to wrap it all up. Two teammates trying to photobomb that shot. Here's your finishing results then for race 2. From the top, it's Indy Kirkenbauer ahead of Adam Williams and Liam O'Sullivan in P3. Amon Lowell lines up in 4th next to John Stellard, Alexander Weitzel, Sebastian Kinder, John Christensen, David Clennon, and Matthias Esquel-Markamimi. Further behind, Katie Polak does finish. Toby Deck and Kaya Ere Elderson do not. Well, we definitely have at least one interview we'd do. I'm not sure what we're going to do about the second one because we had one person win twice, but we are going to have to wait out for Indy Kirkenbauer. I think that one is well-earned and well-deserved. That would be a great time for me to have someone to like hand off to like pad for a few minutes, but instead you've got me handling this one today, doing my best. This is your third and final reminder today, though, that Indy NXT Racing on this channel, brought to you by iCoaching. You get instant unlimited access in entire iCoaching setup vault with iCoaching's all-access pass. Download professionally built iRacing setups for IndyCar, NXT, and TCR cars across the official calendar. Just visit iCoaching.co, that's .co, to find out more. Still waiting out on Kirkenbauer. We might as well just shout out what's coming up on the channel as well. Kirkenbauer will be on the way, but we'll do that. We'll do this regardless. We will have the International IndyCar League at Talladega. Talk about flat out foot to the floor. If you ain't first, you're last. Before this series rounds out with the Freedom 100 at the Indianapolis Oval. The Indy NXT Series, the official iRacing series, goes to Indianapolis Road on the same day, alongside later at the end of the month, Detroit. Between the two, the International IndyCar League will be going to Phoenix. And with that, we do actually have Indy Kirkenbauer in the booth now, finally. Well, Indy, easy to say, I think, the champion of Iowa today. That was a very effortless looking 2 wins.
Yeah, thank you. It was definitely a fun one. I was luckily able to get up, gain some positions there at the start of the second race, and the restarts definitely helped me out, and yeah, it was definitely a fun one.
What was it like on a second race, starting from 10th and climbing all the way up to the front? It was a bit chaotic, but that might have been the harder one.
Yeah, on the second race, I was able to get up most of those positions on the restart due to people wheel spinning. So that was definitely just an important restart for me, and then I was able to just work my way through the field. Yeah, it was definitely a fun one, and looking forward to the next one at Indy.
Any other thank yous or shout outs to wrap up the day?
Yeah, shout out to all my Goker sponsors, BGM Marine Associates, Make Something on YouTube, Bayside Comfort Heating and Cooling, and then also shout out to Votive Racing League, and shout out to everybody watching, and shout out to everybody running the league. Thank y'all for running the broadcast, and hope to be at the next one from Indianapolis.
Good to speak to you. Another good win. I think they don't call you the Indy NXT Oval champion for nothing. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
And with that is going to be a day wrapped up. Now, I do believe I had some end credits last time, and now I finally remembered where to find them on the road. So it's worth shouting out, of course, everybody that helps make this show possible. We'll be here next week here at Indianapolis for a 1-race sprint on the Brickyard. The 500 is getting ever closer in time. So Howie Burroughs on commentary alongside Julian Altena providing production and camera direction. Also, big thanks to live timing from ATVO and Appgeneering, and the Fox IndyCar overlay by Andrew Schultz with car onboard cameras also provided by Julian Altena. I remembered it this time. That's what's key. Anyway, I've been Howie Burroughs signing off for one more week of this championship down the line.
right in. Till you lose it all and don't give in. Winning mob like Burroughs. Got you falling on my skin. Take your chance, this is it. Oh, nah, nah. Stars until it's written in. The constellations call me feeling dangerous, risk the odds, I'll face the